ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. That time of the week for the Breakfast Bankroll with good friend and colleague, Mr. Andrew McInnis. Go follow him at McInnis Picks and, of course, at Wager Talk. Today, we're going to do some talking, some CFL. Well, you know, the headline is, will the Jays hold off the Surging Red Sox? And who would have thunk? Because I know on my bingo card in March, April, I did not have the Jays first and the Red Sox second. I thought the Sox would be battling the Yanks. Judge is coming back today, so the Yanks are free following. But congrats so far to Andrew McInnis and his Jays as they put up a couple touchdowns against the lowly Rockies. So you better win those games, Andrew, because you're going to need them in September. So we'll get to that and some CFL and much more. First and foremost, of course, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood chops, appetizers, wines. Terry's got it all. Use the promo code STEAKS10. Get 10% off your full order. So without further ado, Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
Mr. Jeff, what's up? I got to say, I like seeing the Jays play the Rockies, just like every other sports fan likes seeing their team play the Rockies.
It's nice, and it was funny as I'm doing my work yesterday, I was thinking of you because one of our sources had 6.5 over. Another source actually had 7.5 under. I'm like, yeah, these guys are going to get a touchdown, probably a 2-point conversion. I didn't know they'd get 2 touchdowns, you know. So it was great to see. And again, we're going to actually, let's start there. You know, baseball, 162 games, marathon, injuries, pitching woes, you name it, it happens. On August 5th, could you believe, or your nation ever believed, the Jays would be in first right now?
A lot of people believed in the young core and believed in this team for a few years, but then they started to kind of almost disbelieve the fact that it just wasn't happening. I mean, this year was the biggest wild card year, and all of a sudden it started coming together, and that's what was really nice to see. And this is why I think a lot of fans didn't want too many batters being added to the lineup at the deadline. They didn't want to mess with it. They didn't want to change what was going well. And so you look at this team, one thing that's nice, Jeff, from top to bottom, you've got guys that can bring runners in, guys that can get on base. You've got a lot of guys that can hit the ball out of the park. And I think that, you know, finally we're starting to see this team gel and come together. I got a little bit worried there when they had a minor losing streak, but they bounced out of it. That's the biggest thing with baseball. And I think with the camaraderie this team has, they're very good at getting out of ruts. I have said one thing that kind of worries me a bit, and I want your take as a diehard baseball guy. I find them a little bit emotional, and you want to have emotional maturity, not immaturity, because if you go through a couple losses, you don't want to have those frowns on your face. You want to be able to keep that maintenance of a good smile and keep that positive attitude. But this Blue Jays team right now, if they get a pitcher out there that's not throwing their stuff, they're going to take advantage of it every time. So it's good to see. As you and I always say, though, it all comes down to September baseball. But to your point, and we talk about this when the NHL season comes around as well, and I'm going to have some new websites using this data as well. Which teams can show up consistently against the bad teams, which is not something that's talked about enough in the sports betting lanes, is which teams are profitable units wise, with taking account into the prices against the bad teams below 500, below 400. And so as much as people say, oh, well, they're just playing this team this weekend or this team, those games are more important than people think, Jeff, because you need those wins. They all add up come end of the season.
And it was funny. I was listening to the locals yesterday, and for the Red Sox, they couldn't win the one-run games. They weren't winning at home. And miraculously, they're 15-2 the last 17 at Fenway Park. And it used to be, the model was simple. You got to be 20-plus games over 500 at home, and you got to be 500 or a tad better on the road. And they've just now they've had 4 or 5 implications that they're stealing signs. Of course, Cora was banned for a year. Astros, they're not banging on any garbage cans right now, LOL here. But my point is, they've all of a sudden had this big uptick at home, 15-2, and if you can't win at home, well, you most likely are not going to win at the road. And you talked about the maturity level for you. You know, you like that, though. Young team, Vladdy got the extension. It was not looking good in the spring. Remember, you were going to get rid of Bo, too, last year.
Yes.
You've come together. Max is now back, stepped up a little. You know, I think the end-all, be-all is once September and potentially playoff games, it's that front line starters. You know, every pitch, every out is magnified. And can you get me 5 1/3? Can you get me 5 and it's usually 3 1/3 or 4 1/3, Andrew.
How deep can those guys go is the big thing. How deep until you got to say, hey, we need somebody else. Get him out of here. It is true. I'm going to ask you, Jeff, I'll put you on the spot here, even though you're the host. Who are the top 3 starters? What's the order you'd go in the playoffs right now for the Blue Jays? Who would you go with 3 guys?
Oh, you are putting me on the spot here. Well, I mean, I would have to honestly, I would go Gosman, obviously. And for playoff experience, the only way you're going to go long in the playoffs is if you get the real Mad Max. I mean,
yes.
You need Mad Max there. Berrios is like a box of chocolates. I don't know which Berrios you're going to get.
They didn't pick up Bieber for no reason, but he's been in the minors lighting it up. And the diehard Blue Jays podcast, Gate 14, so happy for them. I've been watching them for years. They blew up this year because it's almost easier to blow up when a team's doing well than when they're doing poorly. These guys are great guys. They partner with the Jays, all this great stuff. The guy that runs the account, he tweeted the day before the deadline, whatever we do, please don't trade for Shane Bieber. And then the next day he tweeted, my account got hacked. It's all right. I'm ready to roll. I love him. Because you know what? Every fan is happy to get any big trade. And it's just coming off the Tommy John, right? So, but they didn't get him for no reason, right? Well, I mean, imagine Gossman, Mad Max, and Bieber as the top 3. That'd be interesting.
Well, and the other thing with Bieber is if you don't use him as a starter, which again you brought him over to hopefully in September and October to use him as a starter, he is someone that you could throw in the pen and let's say Berrios doesn't have it or another starter doesn't have it, you can hand him the ball after an inning in the third and he can get you 3, 4, 5 innings right there if he's not part of the rotation, so it offers you some flexibility, Andrew.
That's that time of year is where the managers get scrutinized the most, right? I mean, they go through all the summer and people will complain about this guy should have been walked or this guy should be in the lineup, but it's that time of the year where those managers, that's where they earn their money. You got to figure out who it is. Obviously, the pitching coaches are making choices, but that's what, because obviously, baseball, I'm a fan of the sport. I would say I'm not in action every day in baseball. The Clients are having an okay MLB season. I'd say we're up a handful of units. But that time of year, especially as a Jays fan, is when I'm like, how could you not pull him from the game? Or why did you keep him? I think it was Gossman that the one like a couple years ago where they took him out of the game instead of keeping him in there. And those are the big decisions you have to be able to make.
1,000%. 1,000%. We're going to circle back. Maybe you have some props, plays, or angles, leans in the MLB, but we want to go to the CFL. Another week in the books, if I'm remembering correctly. Are we up to week 10 now? Is that right?
Time is flying by. Week 10 has arrived here. And we got Thursday, Friday, and then a doubleheader once again on Saturday.
So listen, it's not as easy peasy as this because we know how things work in our lanes. I said something to you over the weekend, and I'm like, wow. Thursday, way over. Friday, way over. And there's the biggest total sitting on the board on Saturday. I mean, you know how it is. You get two high-octane offenses, two piss-poor, excuse my French, defenses. First one to 35 wins, and after the first quarter, okay, second quarter slows down. That's the shit that happens in our lanes, and then you're sitting there and give us what you saw over the weekend, Andrew.
Oh man, I'll tell you, like that spot. I mean, Thursday, Ottawa, Calgary. That one was just so. Look, I think we both looked at that game, and when you and I were talking throughout the week together, and I remember you saying this could be a pros Joes type of game. When I look at that game, though, we talked about the coach, right? We talked about how the coach's job was on the line. Anybody that talks CFL, follows the CFL, knows how important of a game that was for Bob Dice. And when you look at the game as well, and you look at their opponent, it's a mixture of overachieving and then now dealing with injuries. That was the deal with the Calgary Stampeders. It was injuries in the secondary. It was pass rushers. It was offensive linemen. It was their starting quarterback. It was be shooting fish in a barrel if anybody took the Ottawa Redblacks, Jeff. I talked about a team total for them on a show that I was on and ended up getting rid of that. Not really playing much there because I was worried that, hey, I didn't get the good number like many people did. I'm not going to force it. They opened up plus 4.5. They closed at minus 4.5. I cannot do this right now. Even the team total with how much it moved, it went from 24.5 all the way up to something around 27.5, Jeff. It did get there with 31, but I wouldn't have been happy if I got that. So it was tough to get in, but I'll tell you, the Ottawa offense is not the problem. This Ottawa offense has not been the problem. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on the same team, but when you look at some of these player stats here, Drew Brown, another, pretty good game for him, 225 yards, but William Stanback, 52 yards on the ground. But here's the deal here. We got Eugene Lewis, Justin Hardy, Braylon Addison, William Stanback, Keelan White, all of these guys with at minimum 4 targets. We've got 15 yards, 28 yards, 110 yards, 65 yards. this offense can make some noise. This offense is talented, but I think we just saw a good example of a team that was desperate as can be, taking advantage of an injured team. The next one, we saw Winnipeg take care of Toronto. Man, oh man, Toronto had a really good history of covering point spreads against Winnipeg. We saw the number go down from 6.5 only to a handful of points because Strevler was named the starter. And, I'm starting to think, out of all the backups in the league, Strevler might have the most value in his name, Jeff, because of how much they cut the point spread when he's there. For future reference, I don't know how many more times we'll see this. We took advantage of it, if you'll remember, in week 1, backing Winnipeg when this Kolaros was injured or he was suspended. Anyway, they get the job done. The offense shows up. Winnipeg's defense still not the same defense we're used to, giving up 31 points. We saw Hamilton 28-24. If you had the 4.5 with Edmonton, you covered the point spread there with that one. Unfortunately, I went with the team total 25.5. Didn't get there. And Saskatchewan, Montreal, I could not believe that one whatsoever. You like the under. Hats off to you. I was close to getting there as well. Montreal, they desperately need their quarterback back. And we talked about this a few weeks ago on this very show, the fact that they sacrificed a win, I believe it was against Winnipeg, for pretty much losing their quarterback for 6 weeks again. And they kept him in. They brought him back before they should have. He had a hamstring. I mean, this could have been even worse. This could have been some Tyrese Halliburton stuff. I mean, the fact that it's only a 6-week injury, they're lucky, Jeff, because in this CFL season, with how good Montreal is, they could have rested him a few more weeks and had him back. But instead, Bethel Thompson's been the quarterback, and we know that he is not covering point spreads right now. He is inconsistent, and Saskatchewan are the real deal. If there's one team that we can say right now, at this point, that's been the most consistent team in the league, it's got to be Saskatchewan.
No, and I almost feel, and I said it to you via text over the weekend, I'm like, they are the real deal here. But every time I want to anoint a team, then there's like a 2 or 3 game, fall off here. I think I was talking about Winnipeg, after week 3 or something like that. So the Saskatchewan, it's been a cash cow. Yeah, been an absolute cash cow. Looking at the game, I like their team total over, but I thought the easiest play, not playing Monday morning quarterback, and I sent you the text, was the Montreal team total under. I just had more faith in that Saskatchewan defense there. You said 4 games. Thursday night, BC travels to Hamilton. I'm on DraftKings right now as we speak. Hamilton minus 3.5. They're going with the big game early here. Over 55.5, minus 110 each way. Money line, Hamilton minus 192. You can get the Lions plus 160. I'll just do it strictly from an eye test, Andrew. Minus 3.5. They're begging for some BC money here. Again, this could be the pros and Joes where I think the average person is like, shit, give me BC plus 3.5 here, and that's a no-brainer. And I'll sprinkle a little beer and pizza on the plus 160. I would say be careful here because I think you might see that real Hamilton team and offense bounce back this week.
So, yeah, this one's interesting because you've got a revenge game from 2 weeks ago, and that was a play that when I'm you know how we always we remember our losses more than we remember the wins. We're supposed to win, we're not supposed to lose, so we're always angered by the losses. And 2 weeks ago, July 27th, it was Sunday, BC was up 10 points with 3 minutes to go. You'll remember that one, Jeff. And Hamilton kicks a field goal, ties it up. Then they end up, no, we're not going to just tie this game up. We're going to go for a touchdown. BC's defensive coordinator pretty much putting them in prevent the whole last 2 minutes. And it was a great play calling by Hamilton. Over the top, over the top, over the top. They were just kind of picking apart the BC defense there. Final score of that one, 37-33. You talk about the pros, Joes, and where the money's going to go here with this one. I'll tell you, off the bye or not, I don't see why there's not points in this one. I mean, Hamilton, 28 points against the Elks. I think they could have had more probably, if we're being honest. I don't see why we can't see a ton of points in this one. So if you like Hamilton, you play their team total. If you like BC, you play their team total here in this one. But One thing about Hamilton, we all know they're a better team at home for the most part. We saw that huge win they had many weeks back that sparked this run for them, 35 points at home against Montreal. This might be one of those ones. Wait to see where the number goes, and this could be a play I've learned from you when I cashed on Toronto Winnipeg the first half over. BC fresh off the bye. Nate Rourke got to get that confidence back with his receivers. Both teams come out guns blazing. I'm not sure if I want a side in this one. I might be involved depending on which way the line moves, but as of now, it'll be simply totals.
Yeah, and again, 55 and a half, 30, 27, first one to 30 gets there. I like your thought process too. And again, off the bye, are they fresh? Is it rest versus rush? Sometimes slow to start. Could almost see, not playing both sides of the fences here, but maybe coming off the bye, Andrew, a little rust factor, and then this time Hamilton gets the big lead, and then BC charges back, for the flip there.
And I guess one thing to take into account, if it matters too much in the CFL, is the travel spot, right? Lions are traveling to Hamilton, but they're rested. But Hamilton just spent 2 weeks in Western Canada. Now they're traveling back home. So we'll see if that happens too much here.
Matt T, good morning, Matty. I want to know if you see that money is being heavily bet on one side, does it ever keep you off that side, Andrew?
If we're talking particularly in the CFL, I would say what I like to do is just wait. And then a lot of times we've used that steam and ended up taking the other side on the point spread. It's happened multiple times. So particularly in the CFL, Matt, my answer would be if you see a ton of money coming in on one side, wait for the market to overreact and then jump in on that other side. It happened earlier in the year with Winnipeg and Calgary. The number, I believe, was only 3.5. So much money came in on Winnipeg. We were able to get Calgary up to plus 5.5. That's what I'd recommend. I feel like that's the way to go. But it's a circumstantial thing. I watched a video actually that Wager Talk did maybe last week, and it was a pros versus Joes discussion. And it was Teddy and Kelly and a couple of the guys. And Jeff, remember last year in the NFL playoffs, people were saying, well, the casuals are having such a great playoffs. The favorites are performing so well. Well, if the pros need to hit at this certain percentage, that means that the Joes are going to win at that certain percentage as well. So if you fade every pick that the public's on every week, you're not going to have an unbelievable season. The public doesn't lose every game. It's like if you say, okay, I'm going to ride the Dodgers today. They're playing against this team. They're going to roll them. Doesn't mean they're not going to roll them just because 90% of people like the Dodgers. It's just about, I think, circumstantial, picking your spots with certain things. Like I know that you're a market watcher and you learn from what the odds are, but we both know that sometimes, if the Bengals have a good matchup, they're fresh off the bye week, they're playing a team that doesn't cover the pass well, they're going to get the job done. Me and you might just play the team total, or we might just play a player prop. We might not play that full game spread.
No, and I think you brought up a great point, Matt. In the CFL, an overnight trust and respect the opening number versus the move. There could be a newspaper clipping. There could be word out, Andrew McInnis not practicing. A big line move doesn't mean, like in the NFL, Kansas City minus 7.5 and then Mahomes is out. Well, that's a 6-point move. I don't care who the backup is here. But my point is, you get so back and forth action, so much money in the NFL that you don't see 3, 4, 6-point moves. But we can see them in the CFL, and we do see them once in a while. Is it steam or is it false steam? That's the $1 million question, Andrew.
Yes, but it is important to, if you see that market moving and you have a feeling that you might if it gets to a certain number, you might like the other side. Don't be in a rush to bet the other side. Let all that steam come in. Like, there's no better feeling. Like even last week as an example with all the injuries, the fact that, I mean, Jeff, how many leagues will you see a team go from +4.5 to -4.5? That's a huge move. And would you say that's just a bad look on the bookmakers? Like they just had a bad number or bad information because they didn't know who was injured. It's like they're putting up these numbers and then they're reading the injury reports after. They're like, these guys are injured. Okay.
Well, and the funny thing is too, that number that we're seeing that most people aren't seeing is the actual power ranking numbers initially, and then again you get the true number. Now I always go back to Circa. When we're watching the 1:00 games on Sunday, they're sending out the next week college games to their shops, and they're allowing them to bet $1,000 and $2,000, and they're allowing them to set the numbers. So Circa a list of games and their opening numbers, and their shops will move the numbers the way they see it. So by the time it gets released to the public, if Circa had, for instance, Patriots -3.5 against the Raiders, and then 19 of their 20 shops hit the Raiders at 3.5, and then the 3 now to 2.5, they might open up the Patriots at 2 or 2.5.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You have to be aware of what that opening number was as well as where the number is moving. So it's always an interesting discussion. All we know is that long term, you do want to have the best of the number. And hey, if you can't get the best of the number every time, it is what it is. But, if I ended up taking Auto on -4.5 and they lost by 3 last week, I would have gone crazy. Did I miss out on an easy winner? I did. I did miss out on an easy winner, but in my head, knowing that they were +4.5 in the opener, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stomach it.
No, you did it right, and they were, you were spot on, so it's all right. We again, getting the right number and being in our lanes in that business, then you get the send it out, and it's a lose-lose proposition. Well, here's the number. Well, I can't get that damn number. Yeah. Should I play that number? So we do the word. We play caution here. Let's leave it there. Friday, Elks, the Edmonton Elks at Montreal. Montreal -450 in the hook, -110 both ways, -218 money line for the Alouettes. If you like the Elks, +180. Which Montreal team's going to show up?
That's really the question. And a lot of times they're in these spots and they're -4.5, and you think, is it well worth it to do it? This is the thing, though. If you go through the schedule, and I'm going to bring it up right now, I don't have their games up. These are the games that they're winning, and then the other games are the ones that they haven't been putting on a show with. I mean, when they played the Elks earlier in the year, they put up a decent performance. I think they put up 38 points. You look at the loss they had by 1 point to the Lions. After that, they had the lead in that game, Jeff. I think I actually had a big play on Montreal first half in that one because that was their game after the Tiger Cats. We had a 5% on the first half. Montreal loses the game 21-20 against BC. Well, the next game they come around, they win 26-25. But not covering a number there. They just win outright. A lot of these, again, you can count on one hand, or maybe two hands, or two fingers, I should say, how many times they've covered a point spread like this all season long. I think the biggest thing, though, is that this Edmonton team is much different at home versus on the road. Like this defense, the fact that, they were able to, hold for, 28-24 is not a good defensive performance, I guess, but it's not letting a team get into the 30s. This defense seems to be much worse on the road. But you think about Cody Fajardo versus Trey Ford, there's only one way I'd go, and I think it would have to be Edmonton, Jeff. It would have to be. MBT didn't look good, and one thing I've learned over the years with sports betting is you don't want to use the if factor. And right now, the if factor to me is if this guy plays better this week, if this guy does this. And with this number of 4.5, which I'm not too happy I didn't get involved with Edmonton, I got the team total. this is going to be a number where I'm comfortable getting in. 3.5, I don't know if I'll be comfortable in. 4.5, I want to take Edmonton here. And Montreal, to me, as a team, they might win the game, Jeff. They might win the game, but they might not cover 4.5 points.
Yeah, this is right now on paper 27-23. Again, can Edmonton get to that 24-25 number? Is Montreal going to get to that 28, 29, 30 number? So I'm going to keep my eyes on that one. Saturday at 3 p.m., doubleheader Saturday. Ottawa at Toronto. Toronto minus 3.5. 52.5 juiced over. Minus 115 to the over. Argos minus 162. You can get the Red Blacks plus 136. And the nightcap at 7 p.m. Statement. This is just what I call a pure statement. Interested in what you see. Calgary minus 5, minus 115. Next move to 5.5. 51 and a hook juiced both ways minus 110. Calgary minus 230 to the money line, and Winnipeg plus 190. That is an absolute statement in my eyes. They're telling me the Stampeders are coming to play Saturday night. Doug Flutie, no Doug Flutie, don't matter. This is Stampeders, go Stampeders, go.
Well, my question is, are all these guys that were injured last week, are they just not going to be injured again this coming week? That's what I'm curious about. I'm following the reports today. Leading up to my next CFL show this afternoon, waiting to see if this team is going to be just a tad bit healthier when it comes to especially their defense. But when I look at this this Saturday card, Ottawa Toronto, I want to be on Toronto because when I look at their offense right now, I've been pretty impressed. They're putting up points. And for Ottawa, I said that to you, I'm not worried about their defense as much. But at the end of the day, I trust the reliability level more on Toronto than I do on Ottawa. And I know we could talk about the travel factor and things, but this Toronto team is deeper. They're running the ball well, and I trust their defense just a bit better. That number of 2.5, we're not sure how much we can really imply home field is in the CFL. That's about a neutral or pick on a neutral field here. Give me the Argos, and we'll look towards a good team total once those come out. I think the Argos can score on the Red Blacks. Red Blacks coming off that great win, 30-plus points. They're going to feel a little bit like they're fat and sassy. They're back in action. They're feeling good again. And then we're going to see some poor defense and poor decisions by them. You know, when you look at Montreal's offense and you look at Toronto's offense without their two top quarterbacks, one team looks a hell of a lot better, Jeff. Like a hell of a lot better. And, of course, we know that team is Toronto. Arbuckle hasn't been great, but he hasn't been poor either. And he's given them a chance each week. And when it comes down to that next game, you're right about that. 5.5 statement spread here. I'm gonna say this right now. And I don't have a lot to give out yet on this one, but I'm going to tell you, this is going to be the biggest mover of the week. This will probably be one of the bigger moves of the week, depending on health of the quarterback situation with Winnipeg, depending on the defensive situation with Calgary. I'm going to keep you up to date. I'll keep the followers up to date on Twitter. But we're going to be checking a lot of health reports out there right now. I think if you're interested in back in Winnipeg, you probably do it in the next 3 or 4 hours. If you want Calgary, I think you could actually wait.
I can't wait. How's that sound? Meaning, this is going to be one hell of a nice Saturday, 7 o'clock. Again, doubleheader Saturday, Ottawa at Toronto, Winnipeg at Calgary. Before we ship on out here, MLB today, any props, thoughts, or anything that you're seeing?
Well, just like you mentioned off the top of the show, when you see numbers like this, you're kind of interested, especially when it's 7.5 plus 105 with the Blue Jays. We've seen full game totals with that number there. They're facing a horrible starter. The bullpen's not much better. ERA 7.27, xERA not too far behind. But the hard hit, this guy's getting hit for Colorado, and as well as all the guys coming in behind him. This team's hitting the ball well, and when I talk about teams that can take advantage of poor teams, the Blue Jays have been that. They've done well against teams with a losing record. So over 7.5 runs, Jeff. I mean, you get 3 bad innings and you're screwed pretty much. You need like a run an inning in that game. Overall, there was one more I was looking at as well. Give me just 2 seconds here. All right. Phillies over 4 and Baltimore Orioles over 4.5 -110. You get the full 9 innings. Kind of like this situation, and we're gonna try it just one more time. We're gonna try it just one more time to go against Taijuan Walker. I've seen him have some better starts lately, but his numbers just aren't that good. He gets hit early and often, and maybe that ends up being a first 5 play as well. But Orioles for me in this one.
It's so funny your eyes are there because Phillies have been hot. They've been covering the run line. We got fortunate Sunday on a Schwarber bomb in the 8th to get that one pushed across. Left them on the desk, and they just went wild yesterday. But my eyes were staring at the Orioles. It's definitely an Orioles number. Great job on the team total as well there. Wager Talk. It's Tuesday. Everyone knows here, of course, to follow you at McInnis Picks, but they also know to go over to Wager Talk and your link over there, wt.buzz/am. What do you have for everyone today?
I'll just say this, $5, just my best play of the day. You guys can go over there every Tuesday. It's what you can expect. You want to dip your toes in the water. You want to check things out. You spend $5, you get my favorite play of the day. Inside that package, handful of promo codes, handful of deals, and all kinds of great ideas that we have going on right now. We also have one really good longer-term deal. Get 13 weeks of action for the price of 2 months. Standard 30-day package is $299. This offer gives you August, September, and October for $598. So that's when sports pick up again, August, September, and October. If you want to get the blood pumping, get back in action right into hockey season, that's a really good deal as well. We're going to tack on some extra time there for you. $5 Tuesday, $5 best play. You want to get in long-term, get 3 months at a really good deal. No promo code needed with that.
Matt asked one closing question. He goes, do you guys think Texas money line is a good play tonight? And Matt was on with us with Scotty Webb, and he loved this matchup with the Eovaldi, Texas walk-off winner yesterday as the Yankees continue to reel. I just told him, buyer beware here. Judge is back tonight. I love the initial edge here with Eovaldi. So, Matt, if you do like Texas today, I would look at a first 5 with Eovaldi versus Warren there, but I'm going to stay far away. That opening number, Matt, opened at 140 overnight, is down to 122. So, some money trickling in on the Yankees with the return of Judge there. So,
I got one for you, Jeff. Angels, money line, no team totals, no first 5, anything. Jose Soriano on the mound for the Angels. This is a team that I feel like this is the spot I want them in. What do you think at home?
They looked yesterday. My notes, my eyes were spot on last night. My late night play was the Angels and their team total over 4.5. I wake up this morning, of course they won, and of course they scored 5. So it's kind of comical there. Soriano's been great. I no disrespect. Listen. You just got to look at the opening number. They were minus 125 overnight, now 120. This is a Rays team that is reeling, an Angels team that inconsistent but put up some damage yesterday. I'll say this, Andrew. What I did with the Texas game. You like the Angels tonight? I'd go back at the first 5 tonight.
Okay.
I like the matchup there on the Soriano side. Let's not worry about the back end. But again, like your Orioles, I like where your eyes are with the Angels.
All right. Let's do it.
Tomorrow is Wednesday, 11 a.m. Brady Cannon back for the Tea Time Wagers as the PGA FedEx Cup begins. Scotty Scheffler, big favorite this week. Rory takes this week off. 3 weeks to like $20-30 million like these guys need. We should start a GoFundMe, Andrew. Maybe they'll ship us something. So 11 a.m. there, and then Thursday a.m. 11 a.m. Matthew George will be back, and Friday we'll have some Sean Alvarez, of course, with some smooth turn twos and some Del Mar and Saratoga. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks and Wager Talk. Shout out to Matt and everyone else that was watching and listening. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy your afternoon. Stay tuned.